of you who have no idea what's going on, you're guests, you don't know who I am or this gentleman, and you're not quite sure why you're here. And for those of you that stumble onto our Facebook Live, let me just kind of open and introduce everyone. First of all, I'm Patty Roney. I am your hostess for the evening, and I'm the one that gets all the gold. When I interview Dr. Rob Sinnott, I get the gold, and so do all of you. And I'm going to actually introduce him and read his bio because it's so impressive. And I usually can just tell you everything you need to know, but not on this gentleman. This is Dr. Rob Sinnott. And first of all, Dr. Rob, thank you for being here. I'm so proud to have you.
It's my pleasure. I'm happy to be here with you tonight. And always, Patty, we always have great calls together.
Always have so much fun. And we learn a lot. So let me read your bio because it's very impressive. And there will be times we'll reflect back on this. Dr. Rob Sinnott is the Chief Scientific Officer, Head of Research and Development at USANA Health Sciences. And he has 25 years of experience and leadership in life sciences. Hold on to your seat, because this guy's not real. He is, but oh my gosh, wait till you hear this. In life sciences, chemistry, biotechnology, and nutrition, Dr. Rob Sinnott has held numerous scientific and leadership roles in the nutritional supplement industry. He holds degrees in biological science and natural science, and a doctoral degree in plant sciences from Arizona State University. His focus was on applied biological sciences, including biotechnology and plant medicinal chemistry. In addition, he completed postgraduate work at Harvard Business School, Wharton, University of Chicago, London Business School, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, which focused on strategic R&D management and leading product development. He is the Chief Scientific Officer for USANA. He's married to a beautiful lady. I haven't met her in person, but she's just charming. And they have 3 sons, and that really is his backyard you're looking at behind you. And I love your bio. I love you more, but I love your bio. And I think it was very appropriate for you to hide behind your photo. I know sometimes you're
so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. I just hate it. Thanks, Patty. Thank you so much. And you're right. That was my backyard last weekend when we got our first big snowstorm. Most of the snow's actually melted by now. So today it was up to 70 degrees in Park City. So it's just crazy. The weather's just been bizarre. We had our first snow back in early September, and then that melted, and then we had, nice, but I'm enjoying all of it. It's just fantastic. This working from home, you know how that is. Well, you've done that your whole life. So that's,
I love it.
Yeah.
I raised 6 homeschool kids, home-based business with USANA. Yeah. I thought I owned the world by having that freedom.
Wow. Yeah. So it's new for me because I'm just not used to it. But I was actually down at the USANA office this morning. So I was down there from about 8 until 1. I had some conferences and conference calls and such. And then I came back up the mountain before sunset, so I could be on this call. But anyway, it's a great honor. It's always great to be with you. And the thing I love about you is you're so passionate about health. Like you got into USANA for all the right reasons, like I've met so many people in my career, and there are people that are just like aficionados about health and sharing health with people. And you're exactly at the top of the list of that. And so, what I want to do is when you ask me to be on a call, I can't do it every single time, but this time I'm like, I haven't talked to Patty in a while, let's go ahead and do a call together. And so I'll share some information with you about, people are always wondering, because there's a lot of options out there right now for health products and supplements and things like that. And what makes USANA different? Like, why come with us rather than anybody else that's out there right now? And there's actually a lot of reasons, but people don't know that. In a lot of cases, they don't know that. So I was actually on a webinar this morning. I did a webinar from the R&D lab downtown. And it was with the entire European Union. So that'll be broadcast. They're actually translating it right now, and that'll be broadcast in the next few days throughout the EU. But you know what? The world is waking up to, it's kind of what we're going through right now is very difficult, and it's very sad, but it's also very predictable, and it's one of those things that honestly we needed kind of slap upside the head to get people to change their ways, because we were getting a little bit complacent about our life and our lifestyles and things like that. And this is exactly the kind of wake up call that we actually kind of needed. And actually, USANA's had the best year ever this year, because a lot of people that were on the fence about preserving their wellness, preserving their health, using nutrition, to keep themselves healthy, have kind of come off the fence. And even a lot of friends of mine that are physicians, I've known a lot of physicians through my life, and we're good friends. We go mountain biking together. We all do all this stuff, and they're kind of like mildly interested in what I do. And, they think it's interesting. But this year, I'm telling you, they're all waking up and they're going, what was that you said about vitamin D? Yeah, so the immune system, vitamins affect that, don't they? And it's like, absolutely, they do. To be optimally healthy, particularly under a challenge, you really have to have an optimally functioning immune system. And see, Dr. Wentz, you're a big friend of Dr. Wentz. He loves you, and I've known him for a couple of decades, and he's just fantastic. And he's the ultimate scientist. He never set out to build a $1 billion company. He set out to build the world's best health products. And then what followed from that is this fantastic company called USANA, simply because he was making the best quality products that he possibly could and sharing those with his friends and family. And they loved the products, and they shared them with other people, and they shared them with other people. And now we have this huge USANA family in 24 countries throughout the world who just love our products and use them every day and would never leave them. And that's exactly how I feel about the products. Is I would never go a day without my USANA products, because I just know I've run that experiment before where I've kind of ignored it and walked away for a while, and I would never go back to feeling that way again. I'm 56 years old. I feel like I'm 25. I'm in the best health of my entire life. And a lot of that is the choices I'm making and the products that I'm taking. So I love being with USANA. And also this organization is really very much like a family. A lot of companies say that, we're a family company or family, that kind of stuff. And, it's a marketing gimmick most of the time. But USANA is truly like a family. Like I would do anything for you, Patty. Like you help me out. I help you out. We help each other out. I know that, you've got a lot of other leaders on the line, and we're not fighting with each other. We all help each other out and kind of lift each other up. And that's just a fantastic way to be in this world. And such a great time to do that.
I agree. And I just want to say that over, the last few weeks, hundreds, thousands of us are joining together around the world in a unified way, Dr. Rob, that we always have had the unity of USANA's vision, Dr. Wentz's vision, and the whole plan, the whole purpose. We've always had it in our heart. When we gather 10,000 of us together, 15 or 20, we have that. But there's been an urgency that has just gone through like a tidal wave through this company right now, and through the leadership, through all of the people. I mean, we're out there to save the world. Just go and do everything in our power. And we're doing what you're doing. We're working, night and day right now on purpose because we want to. Right. And others are, they need everything USANA has to offer, but the USANA family, and being the healthiest family on earth, quoting Dr. Wentz, the goal, that is such a strong driving force, both the business and the product. So I'm going to turn it over to you. I think you've brought some slides, and so I would love to have you. I brought you on tonight. You're actually like the epitome of what we wanted to end. We had, about a 10-day immersion, that little project we had going on, big project we had going on, thanks to Jared and Crystal Krebs and Jeremy Stanfield and all the leaders that have been out there, just really, carrying the torch. And you were kind of like my gift. So I want you to know that.
You're so kind. You're so kind.
Well, I feel like people have got to know the real USANA. They hear all of us, they see all of us, but you represent, Dr. Wentz, you represent the science, you represent the integrity, you represent the products themselves, which is what the whole thing's about. And all the rest of it comes from that foundation. So I'm going to just turn it back over to you and let you present whatever you have for us tonight, because you always have surprises. So I'm going to depend on that.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, great. And so it's great to stand on the shoulders of giants, right? And Dr. Wentz is totally a giant. He's a great friend of mine. So not only are we colleagues and we respect each other and we're both scientists and everything like that, but we also are great friends and we have the same vision for the world. We just want to help, and we're going to do very well in business by just helping people, because a lot of people need help right now. We can offer great solutions for their issues. So anyway, let me see. It's been a long day. Okay, so I'm going to try sharing.
I'm going to mute myself.
Okay.
And my screen. So.
Okay, don't mind my. Okay. Now, can you see the slides? Patty, you're muted,
yes.
But okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is the slide that I always love to start with, because this is really what drives me and what drove you and what drives everything else. And this is a quote from Dr. Wentz. He's had a lot of great quotes through his life. Great career. I'm so happy for him. He's done so well for himself. This year, actually, he went into retirement. He's still an emeritus chairman of the board of directors for the company. He still sends me scientific things all the time. So it's not like he's actually out on a sailboat or, he actually still reads scientific journals and sends me stuff all the time, cutting edge things. But I love the purity of his vision. And, he didn't set out to build a business. He set out to meet the needs of the customers. And he's a biochemist by training, an immunologist. And his background was he had expertise in growing cells in culture, human cells in culture. That's how I knew him, was when I was back in grad school studying immunology. A lot of the papers that I read on cell culture were written by Dr. Wentz when he was at the university. And he was, growing human cells in culture is it's very, very difficult. Taking cells out of the body and trying to grow them in a culture media is very difficult. It takes a lot of really good chemistry, because you've got to culture those cells and give them all the nutrients that they need to grow, but not too much that they poison themselves. And so this is where he learned really human nutrition, was by growing cells in culture. And then when he got a little bit older in his life, and he was a hardworking man and developed some health challenges, he was looking for solutions for himself. What can I do to improve the nutrients in my life? And he relied on a lot of this stuff that he had learned doing cell culture. and produced USANA supplements, the very first USANA supplements. And my professor at the time in immunology was actually one of the first USANA distributors. And so he was telling me all about USANA and how their products are bioavailable and just very exciting. And at the time I was just a college kid, so I didn't know, I didn't really pay that much attention to it. But it was interesting how your paths cross again, later in life. But just the wonderful vision, he was out to meet the needs of the customers. He realized that people needed better nutrition. He realized that the products that were on the market right now, that were available back in the day, like the 1-a-day vitamins, the Centrum, those things that you would buy at the grocery store, on the label, they look really good because they tell you that, oh, we've got 100% of the iron, we've got 100% of the vitamin A, all this stuff. But what they didn't tell you was that that's a laboratory assay. That's not how it actually works in your body. So there's a lot of those commercial vitamins that are out there right now, still to this day, that they can put that on the label. But if you take it, there's no guarantee that stuff is actually absorbed in your body. So it's kind of like a little bit of smoke and mirror out there, and it still persists to this day, which is kind of weird. But anyway, his goal was to build products that were truly bioavailable, and in doing so, he created the very best vitamin products in the world. Here, the drawback is that they're also very expensive because those good ingredients that you need, that you would use in cell culture, that you would use for bioavailability, are way more expensive than, the cheap iron that's not absorbed in the body. And so that's the trade-off, and people have to understand that. And I know that you came to understand that early, Patty, and I know a lot of our distributors came to understand that. Is like when you're talking about your health and you're talking about your nutritional needs, cheap is not the best answer. Okay, if you need, staples or something like that, or paper, it doesn't really matter if it's cheap paper or if it's good paper. But when it comes to human nutrition, you don't want the cheapest stuff. You want the very, very best. And that's what USANA does well. So USANA is known for our science behind our nutrition. And every product that we produce is what's called potency guaranteed by Dr. Wentz. So you'll see his signature on the bottles. He will, and I'm telling you, this guy is tough. He is really tough, and he's still tough. He will not sign a bottle until we can prove to him that the product is really the very best and that it's everything that we say it is, and we take products through clinical studies and such to prove it to him and earn that trust and earn that signature on our bottles. So this is what I live every day. Okay, this is a 100,000-foot view of product development, but there's a process for getting products to market, new USANA products to market, and we launch new products every single year. This year, I think, even with COVID, we launched more products this year than we did in any other previous year. And we've got hundreds of products queued up for launch, just great nutritional products. It's almost hard to figure out where to start because there's so many breakthroughs in nutritional science, wellness, using nutrition to preserve your wellness and your lifespan and your health span, that it's very complicated from a business decision and scientific decision to figure out even which products make it through all these different gates. But everything starts off as an idea, and then it moves down into the R&D design space, and that's the area that's under my jurisdiction. So I've got 100 scientists and technicians and laboratory people that we work on products all the time, and then the certain ones that we choose, both from a business standpoint and scientific standpoint, they continue down the product development process through scoping, creation, commercialization, where we have to scale them up. Because remember, every product we produce goes into many countries. So, a single product can go into anywhere from 10 to 20 countries. we've given up on the idea of producing one product that will go into 24 countries, because that's not reasonable. There's so many, the regulations around the world are so patchwork that we would have to water down the products a lot to get them into all countries. So there's some countries that, we have a great product and they're able to receive that product. And then there's other countries that, just because of their antiquated registration processes and regulatory processes, we aren't able to deliver that product. But I'm not going to water down a product to get it into a country. That's just a defeatist attitude. Okay, I can't show this slide for very long. This shows actually some of the stuff that's queued up in our product development process. We've got hundreds of products developed in, they work their way down from ideation into design space, scoping, creation, commercialization, and then we select the few that we're actually going to launch that year. Two reasons for that. Number one, like I said, regulatory won't allow all products in all countries, but then also we realize that our distributors, we can't just dump hundreds of products every year onto our distributors. We have to be very selective and build the marketing case behind them and give them the collateral materials and things that they need to launch a product successfully. But this was just a recent snapshot of the product development, what we call the pipeline. And this was back in, I believe this was earlier this year, just a snapshot, but it's always changing. There's always stuff moving down the pipeline. There's new stuff coming into the pipeline. And it's great because it's kind of like a professional golfer who has, 20 some clubs in their bag. No matter what situation they get into, they can find a club that's going to get them out of that situation. And so my commitment to the management team at USANA was to give them lots of options. So we develop a ton of products, but it doesn't mean we're going to launch all these products. What I want is for them to have a lot of options to choose from. And then based on what the country demands are, what the distributors are looking for, things like that, meeting Dr. Wentz's vision for delivering the best to the consumers, we get to choose amongst these products and decide which products to launch. We duplicated this product process in China. And I know we're not talking to a Chinese audience right now, but this is very important because what we do is scalable and global. And it's very important because China, at this point in time, almost 50% of our business, the USANA business, is actually in mainland China. And I know there's a lot of tension going on right now between the United States and China, and I get it. I understand it. There's a lot of stuff going on. And a lot of it was due to the fact that, we were buying a lot of Chinese products, but they weren't buying a lot of our products. Well, I've got news for you. They're buying a ton of USANA products. Half of the products that we produce and sell in the world are sold in mainland China. And that's because those consumers are beginning to realize the value of nutrition. They've kind of moved up the food chain from being a very agrarian society, kind of backwards, a lot of poverty, a lot of starvation. They've moved up the food chain very quickly over the last several decades. And now one of the things that they're really wanting is the very best nutrition products for their people and for their athletes. And so they value USANA very, very highly as well. So we have a robust pipeline in China too. So we're, this is kind of what the pipeline looks like for mainland China. We've got a lot of products under development, a lot that are launching this year. I think this year we launched 12 or 14 products. Next year, we're going to be launching a record amount of products. So this is all good for our global business, because you remember that the USANA business model is actually global seamless. So all countries contribute to the overall progress of USANA. So we shouldn't be bitter about the, how they're developing and how they're appreciating our products. It actually contributes greatly to the growth of the company overall. So I'm very happy about it. So the research and development process at USANA is continuing full speed, even through this pandemic that we're going through right now. Very unfortunate. We've been very blessed. I'm constantly in touch with all my team members, and we have not been adversely affected very heavily by this. This was a meeting that we had at the R&D office. This was early this summer when our friend Dr. Oz came to visit us at R&D. He had some ideas to share with us. We had some ideas and data to share with him. You'll be hearing a lot more about that in the future because it actually developed into a really cool collaboration. I can't share details of that with you right now, but it's great. We all took precautions, because we're professionals, we're health professionals, and we offer courtesies to each other. And so we've, very early on in this whole process, we implemented social distancing. We implemented mask wearing. Look, wearing a mask is not harmful. It doesn't it's not tough. So I would just recommend that, everybody get around to doing that, because it at the very least, it's going to slow the growth of the pandemic. But anyway, by taking these measures, we haven't slowed down at all. We're doing just great at USANA headquarters. These are some of the partners that we team up with when we do our clinical studies. Now, actually, clinical studies for nutritional products is not required by law, at least in the United States. In some countries, it is, like Canada, Australia, and some other countries. But we've always done this for the last 30 years. We've always partnered with major universities, academic institutions to conduct scientific partnerships and clinical studies on our products. We don't have to. It's very expensive to do this. But again, this is something that sets USANA apart. Lesser companies wouldn't do this. And I'll tell you, I know all the players. I know every single chief scientific officer in our industry. I know who their staff are. I know who their people are. And there is no player in this industry that has anything close to what USANA does for scientific validation of our products. So this was one of the very early studies. This is really cool. This is way before my time. But Dr. Wentz felt very strongly that, products should be validated through clinical studies. And this was a very early study. I believe this was on proflavanol C. And it was done at Boston University School of Medicine. And it showed, improved oxygen status and vascular function in people. So a lot of companies just put supplements out there and they're like, buy them if you want to, don't buy them if you don't want to, but they don't put any money behind the science to tell the consumer why they should be buying these products, whereas USANA does. So we do this, and not only that, but we make sure that our results are published in peer-reviewed scientific journals, so that it's not just us saying so, but it's these third-party medical institutions and universities that are saying it, because they don't have a financial interest. They have a financial interest in conducting this study, but honestly, for them, it wouldn't really matter if it was positive or negative, and they're not going to bias the study. But we think that that's fair play, and I think that's a fair game. If we really believe it, we believe our product's going to do something, we invest in clinical studies, and we let them publish the results. And I'll tell you, so far, it's been just a batting average of 1,000. We've been doing very, very well with our clinical studies, just amazingly well. So these are two studies that were published recently. This is something cool, is we've actually teamed up now with, we've teamed up with overseas universities several times now. So European, Australian, Canadian universities, but we never teamed up with a Chinese university before. But just this summer, or I'm sorry, not this summer, it was last summer, we teamed up with Peking University. And Peking University is pretty much like the Harvard Medical School of China. Everybody goes to Peking. They're highly prestigious. I've visited them. They're fantastic. They're very advanced university. They wanted to study our Nutrimeal product, and see if it would have a effect on public health. And so they actually funded the study. We provided the product, and they found that our NutriMeal, people substituting that, people that were overweight, that were substituting the NutriMeal for one meal during the day, actually had fantastic results in their body mass index, in their weight, in their blood pressure, all sorts of measures that showed that they were much healthier people for doing this. And meal replacements are not a big thing in China right now. They're just not. They're just not, like, they're well established here in the United States. They're well established in Canada and Europe, Australia, but hardly anybody knows about them in China. But they actually contacted us and said, hey, you know what? We're looking for ways of improving public health. We think your product may help. And sure enough, these studies proved that our product was very, very helpful. So it's great to get that kind of validation from people that are, new and skeptical about how we can help them. Okay, so this is another study that we did, Journal of Functional Foods. This was just published, I think, a month or two ago, where we studied the people that had been consuming Cellsentials and compared that against the NHANES data, which is NHANES data is the National Institute of Health survey that they've been conducting over the last 40 or 50 years that surveys just general population health. And we found that people that use our products, particularly the ones that use the Cellsentials, have significantly better markers of cardiovascular health and nutritional status. And again, there's a lot of companies out there in the world right now, bigger companies even than in USANA, that are selling vitamin products, but nobody ever does these kind of studies. And we do it because we know the bioavailability of our products is so superior that we're going to definitely have results. I think they're on the fence because if they do studies and they show that their vitamin products don't actually work, that would be very detrimental. Like, they'd have to sweep that under the carpet. But we're very confident, so we go ahead and do that, and we publish in major nutritional journals. This is another study that we did recently. This was published this year in Nutritional Neuroscience, and it was coinciding with the launch of our Copa Prime product. And what we showed is this Copa Prime product is just a tremendous nootropic agent that not only increases your working memory, your accuracy, your response time, all these learning markers, but it did it in one dose. So these people weren't taking the product for an extended period of time. They literally took one dose of the product, and then 45 minutes later, they were tested. And it showed these amazing differences in memory and performance with just a single dose. And not only that, but we did brain scans at the same time to figure out how this product exactly was working. And what it did was it was actually activating the prefrontal cortex area of the brain, which is involved in learning and memory. And not only that, but it was also increasing neural efficiency. So these people's brains that were using the Copa Prime were actually better performing, but they were running cooler. I guess that's the way I would say it in lay terms, is they weren't running as hot. And what that shows is that this product is not just like a caffeine stimulant. It's a very targeted towards those centers that are involved in learning, mood, memory, things like that. And so this is very exciting. We've got a follow-on study that's underway right now that is more of this was an acute study. We're looking at a more chronic study. But I was just so blown away. I've never seen any product. In my entire life, I've never seen a product work like this before. And not only that, but it's a very affordable product, and it's very safe ingredients. We tested for safety at the same time. There were absolutely no adverse events from this. And so I'm very excited about this because this has been kind of the holy grail of nutrition for a long time, is products that can be very safe at improving brain performance and very natural. And that's what this product is. And so with the world population aging so fast, and memory and mood and those kind of things being so important, I just think that this is a fantastic product for USANA. It's growing very fast. So in the countries that we've introduced it so far, it's risen very quickly to become one of the most popular products, and that's because people love it. They can feel it right away, and they know that it's working. Okay, so even for things like skincare, a lot of companies launch skincare and release it, and hardly anybody does scientific studies on it. But again, Dr. Wentz, this is his point of view, that he wasn't opposed to us launching skincare Celavive, but the one condition that he had for it was that it had to be scientifically validated. And so as we were developing these products, we put them through clinical studies so that we could quantify the effects that they had on skin. So if you're going to use skincare, I mean, I use it, some of it. I'm not like skincare, I'm not a skincare aficionado. My wife is very much so. But she loves Celavive, and one of the things that really won her over as to why she should choose this over the other products is I showed her the data of what the improvements were from this product. And so again, science makes the difference between just somebody who talks a good game and people that can actually do the job. So we have a couple other manuscripts that are in writing. These will be out for publication very soon. One of them, we launched a product this summer, the essential oil balm. When I asked Dr. Wentz for approval to develop this product, I said, how do you feel about aromatherapy? How do you feel? Because I feel good about it, but I think there's way too many essential oils and weird things out there that, just have these crazy, outlandish, and I don't want USANA to fall into that trap where we're launching, 50 essential oils and they're all kind of weird and, that kind of stuff. And he agreed. He said, absolutely. He said, but if you can prove it scientifically, then I will back that product. And so when we developed our essential oil blend, we put a lot of research into it, looking at all the scientific journals out there. And then we conducted a human clinical study with the Brain Institute at the University of Utah Medical Center. And we showed that our products were could significantly increase positive mood, reduce disturbance. It actually reduces heart rate, which is really, so it calms people down. And there's a lot of benefits to it. So this is not just like some weird essential oil thing. Like when USANA does things, it's like, it's really good products, because you saw the pipeline. We've got hundreds of things to choose from. We're not under pressure to launch a bunch of products every year. As a matter of fact, the hardest thing in my life, and Kevin Guest, our CEO, and Jim Brown, our president, is trying to come up with, out of all those hundreds of options, what are the very, very best things that we can launch? And those are the things we invest in with clinical studies as well. So these are the agencies that we deal with on a daily basis. And you can see there's agencies all over the world. This isn't even all of them. We're in 24 countries, so we deal with 24 different global regulatory agencies, even more than that in some countries. But it used to be back in the day when I got into nutrition that the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration in the United States, was the 900-pound gorilla. So that was like everybody was trying to meet their standards, and some companies made it, some companies didn't, but it was very difficult to meet FDA standards. But I'll tell you, these days, FDA standards are by far not the toughest in the world. Probably the toughest in the entire world right now is the Australian Therapeutic Good Administration, TGA, and Health Canada. And what they've done is they've allowed companies like ours that produce supplements and nutritionals and wellness products, they've allowed us to make very nice claims about our product if we could prove it, if we have dossiers, if we have scientific evidence, clinical studies, product-specific studies that can prove it, they allow you to make some really terrific claims on the products, almost drug-type claims. The FDA never allowed that. But anyway, so nowadays we build everything to Australian and Canadian standards rather than to FDA standards. Because if you build them to Australian and Canadian standards, they're pretty much going to be acceptable throughout the entire world. Whereas right now, if you built them just to FDA standards, they would not get into Australia. They would not get into Canada. They would not get into China, Malaysia, Singapore. They just wouldn't. And so this has been an evolution over time. But again, there's a lot of companies out there in our space, but they're US only because they can't meet these global standards, but we do. And so again, this is just something that's forward thinking on USANA's part. I realize that our products are we are expensive. We do have fairly expensive products, but this is why. Is because we build things to a very high standard. Another proof of this is, USANA is one of the very few companies out there that has what's called NSF certified for sport. And this is a very high standard. This is probably the highest standard, probably higher than any government standard. But if you're going to be giving your products to athletes, if professional athletes, Olympic athletes that have one chance at getting a gold medal are going to be using your product, they don't want to be disqualified for having banned substances or weird stuff in their dietary supplements. So we put our products through this NSF certified for sport when we're going to be giving them to athletes to make sure that there's nothing in there that's going to get them disqualified from their event. We actually have $1 million guarantee with athletes that if they're using USANA products and they test positive, there's an insurance policy for $1 million, but nobody's ever claimed that because we check all that stuff ahead of time and we know. Another company is called Informed Choice. This is based out of the UK. And again, they're very stringent on, checking supplements. I'll tell you, if you just pick up supplements at like GNC or Vitamin Shop or Walgreens or Walmart or something like that, you just honestly don't know what you're getting. Like, you don't know, because a lot of those things are manufactured overseas. They're in places where there's a lot of cross-contamination. And I don't think they're deliberately doping their products, but it's not uncommon for people to test positive for banned substances by just taking a very cheap supplement. And I know this is well known throughout the industry, and USANA is just one of those companies that we make our living by avoiding that situation. And for that reason, we're the most trusted supplement brand among Olympic athletes and professional athletes throughout the world. And this is my favorite slide of the entire deck. I don't know why, but it just says so much. It says so much about what we do.
No one cares more about their bodies than the athlete does, the elite athletes, nobody. And I saw Dr. Wentz at our last big convention. And when these guys come out thanking him, he was just in tears. He was just a mess, because there's no higher stamp of approval, probably because of the way they treat their own bodies.
Exactly, Patty. So, I would love to be one of these. I'll never be, but
in your age bracket, you are. I've seen those weightlifting photographs, and I'm like, whoa. Yeah. Okay, no, you've come so far. That's amazing.
Yeah, but anyway, so this is my favorite thing is that so many people trust us, and this one over here on this deck over here, the NSTC, the National Sports Training Council of China. They actually approached USANA. They saw so many Olympic athletes using our products, and they actually, this is the official training board for the Chinese Olympic team, all their sports. And they approached us and they said, "You're doing something amazing. Can you help us out?" And so now all the supplements that are used by NTSC are actually USANA supplements. They go through the same certification process, but we have so many. Look here, just all over the world. Canada, Australia, Central America, all over the place. People are using these products, and like I said, this means so much to me. Okay, and then the next thing is our patented technology, like the intelligence technology that we use, the Cell Essentials, was actually granted a patent back in April. And this is kind of amazing because it only took a few years for this to issue. Usually patents in the nutritional area are, 10 years or longer to issue. But our science was so clearly superior that the USPTO issued this patent. And so this talks about our cell signaling technology and what makes these Cell Essentials different. And if you look at this, it's compositions for supporting endogenous systems related to lifespan. And that's, it's very hard to explain Cell Essentials and cell signaling to lay people because it's so complicated. I remember studying cell signaling, all through grad school, and it's an evolving science. But USANA is one of the very few companies that's actually applying it to human nutrition because we have very safe phytochemicals that we believe, the time will prove, but honestly, I'm going for maximum lifespan. I want maximum quality of life, maximum lifespan. And a lot of the stuff that we're doing with cell signaling, I think, is really the key to unlocking that. The way I like to explain it when I have investors or consultants or something like that is they say, okay, well, what's USANA? What's your 30-year history? Well, our 30-year history, you can basically break it down into 3 segments. Okay, so Nourish was the first thing that Dr. Wentz did. So he developed these bioavailable vitamin mineral supplements that were superior to anything on the market. He had some regular antioxidants in there. But then the second generation, during the second 10 years of USANA, was Dr. Wentz was really into, okay, now that we've nourished the cells, what else can we do to protect them? And he developed these theories of antioxidants. He proved them out in the laboratory, and then developed products that were, had the world's best antioxidant protection systems. So not only did you have Nourish and you had Protect, you not only had Nourish, but you had Protect as well. And those were back in the Essentials days, so you had all that stuff. And then now we're on to the third phase of nutritional technology, where we're actually looking at the renewal processes in the cell. Because if you think about it, your body, your cells are made up of fragile things like protein, lipids, nucleic acids, things that are fairly fragile, particularly in a harsh environment. And if you've ever walked through, we used to walk through malls. Remember that back in the day when we didn't have to wear masks and we actually could go shopping and things. But that's the story I use. Is so when you used to walk through the mall and you'd see all these people. I love people watching, so I'd watch all these people and just see different people. And there were some people that would be like, you could tell that they're probably in their 80s, but they look like they're 20. They're very healthy. They're vibrant. They're walking straight. All this stuff. And then you have people that are clearly in their 40s and 50s or even 30s nowadays that just look terrible. They look like they've been through a 100-year battle, their whole life. And a lot of that is due to cell signaling. A lot of the cell signaling is due to poor diet. So that's our next stage of USANA's growth, is really perfecting this renewal process within cells so that you're not only getting the best nourishment, the best protection from antioxidants, from environmental toxins, from radiation that we're exposed to every day, but then we're also triggering the renewal processes so that your brain cells, your skin cells, your, the cells on your face, the cells in your muscles are actually regenerating themselves and being optimally healthy. So these are some of the compounds that we use currently as cell signaling compounds. They're very safe. A lot of them are botanically derived, like quercetin, green tea extract, root and hesperidin. Those are all flavonoids. resveratrol is from grape extract, olive oil is from olive fruit, alpha lipoic acid. This is a really cool compound. This has been around for a long time, but we're one of the first. It's very expensive to do alpha lipoic acid, and it's also very unstable. So it's hard to stabilize it and put it into a product. But see, that's what USANA is great at, is we put our mind to doing something. We want to make it. We want to find it. We source it, and then we figure out ways of putting it into stable formulations. But this is just some of the products, the cell signaling we're using right now, but there's a whole lot more in the pipeline right now. It's very exciting. So those things are the USANA difference. And that is why, well, there's a lot of reasons I love USANA. I love the people. I love the philosophy. I love the vision. But I just love the dedication to science, the unwavering dedication. Like I said, there's so many companies out there that say they're science-based companies, and it's not hard to write that as your logo. Like, anybody could say it. But honestly, I know them all, and it's just simply not true.
I loved your presentation, and I've got Q&A and chat and my own thoughts, and we don't want to take too much of your time. Can I jump into a couple of questions?
Of course, yeah.
I loved the presentation. I know everyone loved the presentation, and we love the proof. And I love you taught me some things I did not know about. I knew about the TGA. I understood that they were the highest and that they would come in and go through and just say, oh my gosh, why doesn't everyone do this? You know, they've always been very impressed with USANA, but I didn't realize some of the other information there. So I'm going to go through just a couple quick questions that the group has put through. And one of them, I'm just going to stand up for my essentials, my cell essentials, because I just have to say to the group that I agree with you, Dr. Rob, when you say, I'm going to say the words, more expensive than what I'm going to call really cheap, bad products. Okay, so everything on dollars is relevant. And so we can say, okay, it's okay for it to all be expensive, but I'm going to tell you it's not. I'm going to say it is not. And here's 24 years in the field, 24 years of watching people try to prove that they could get it cheaper. And there have been more than one person that has tried to take just our cell essentials from the very beginning till now to find the ingredients. Well, number one, they're not there. Number two, they're not guaranteed. Number three, they're not actually in the bottle. But number four, when they tried to do that and they were buying all the bottles to try to make up these two little bottles, our $53 bottles are anywhere between $280 and $300, and they're not even close to the quality. And so we have to know what we're saying. And I have people that take $1,500 a month of medication, one product, one med, because they didn't get their health under control soon enough. And now they're stuck with that. So I'm just going to say this, Dr. Rob, I sat my kids down when we bought our new home, and it's a home bought because I could. And I sat down with my children, single mom, and I said, kids, this is our dream house. This is our miracle house. But I would rather lose the house than take you off of USANA's products. Now, I never had to have that choice to be made, but that is the value to me. And I've been here to see it all. So I just wanted to help you guys with that. We had a really good question, a really sad question. But I think a guest is asking, is our product the same as what she can buy USANA products on Amazon? Oh, what a terrible, terrible mess that is. Do you have anything you can say?
Yeah. Okay. There's two things I want to say about that. First of all, it is possible to buy resale products, people that are dumping products or whatever, for whatever reason. I would never do that because you don't know how those products have been treated. You don't know how they've been stored. They're out of the supply chain. So we've lost control of those products. So I don't know. I don't know if they, took a USANA, like this has actually happened before, where people have taken USANA bottles and filled them with second rate products. And it's not any big trick to put a heat seal on the top of a bottle. You can do it with a hair dryer, and you can buy these heat seals. So you honestly don't know what you're getting in that particular situation. But then also what we've seen is that even on Amazon, when we've looked, because we've looked at this from a legal standpoint, when you see products being sold, they're not that much cheaper than what you could buy them legitimately from a distributor or for being a distributor. And so why would you do that? When you can get the genuine, official, it's been through the supply chain, like why would you get, again, it's just cheating. If people want to save a few dollars and just go buy a Walmart vitamin or something like that, you know what? That's a choice that some people make. I would never advise that, because we're talking about your health here. And then, like you said, Patty, if something goes wrong, and things will go wrong in life, how much is it going to cost to fix it? And then you take a look at that price tag. Literally one day, if you're in the hospital for one day, it's a few $1,000s for one day for a simple thing. Why don't you just invest that early on and just make sure you stay out of the hospital? I mean, it's like I'm an economics guy, but that's kind of a no-brainer.
Well, and I know it was a few years ago, and I was traveling with our CEO at the time, and he said that the scientists, buy those products from Amazon and eBay, and they test them, and they're not USANA products.
Yeah.
Very, very often they are just not. It's cheating. And we have an entire legal department that's actually in place to just keep that illegal operation from going, because that's not the legal way for us to sell our products.
Right.
So, all right, let's move to a different question. Another one is actually, can they view the European presentation you did today?
Probably so. I don't have the details on that. I'll have to check in with Jordana and figure out how that's done. But I'm certainly can. I just don't know. How to do that.
How and when and where. Okay. Yeah. And then the balm. The balm is the balm. I'm just going to tell you what, this is the essential oil balm that he's talking about. And I am in love with it. And for you guess, it's like a chapstick but doesn't go on your lips. But see the difference in size, but it's that same type. And it goes on the pressure points that you have. And I just wanted to say that we have a lot of people that love the idea of or love essential oils, but they only want USANA quality. And so that's why there's a lot of screaming going on about the oils, because they would like to see at least a little so that they have a USANA quality oil or the balm. The balm was just the best. I know there's some other questions in here, sir. I'm going to see if I can run through them before we lose you. Okay, so do you know if Copaprime is okay for breastfeeding moms with brain fog?
Oh, you know what? I don't know the answer to that question, but I could look it up, Patty, but I just don't, off the top of my head, I don't know the answer to that question. Okay. I know that, for herbal supplements, generally, it's just standard, and it depends on the country. But there are certain countries where there's standard labeling for people that are breastfeeding. And a lot of that is out of an abundance of caution. Not that there's any actual issue there, but they just don't want to take any chances like that. So I honestly don't know the answer to the question, but I can follow up with you and get you that answer.
That's great. Another one has to do with Copaprime and a child around 11, and you're probably going to have that same answer. What do you think?
Yeah. So in the United States, I know the laws here really well, and it varies by country, but in the United States, dietary supplements are generally prescribed for children that are 12 years old and above. And I don't know where that cutoff date came from. I don't know, but it's part of the regulations for FDA. So, I mean, my kids use the Copa Prime a lot, and my son just had an exam today, and he was asking me, where's the Copa Prime for his exam? So I know that it's safe to use. I just don't, the labeling and the regulations vary by country, and I don't have any jurisdiction over that. And a lot of times it's not really based on science. It's just based on what is the law of the country.
Yeah, I think that has happened with our children's chewables. That when Dr. Wentz first brought those out, he said, they were great for grinding and putting in even formula or whatever if a mom wasn't nursing. It wasn't the age of the child. It was that they had to label them 2 years old because of the choking hazards. It was a labeling issue. It had nothing to do with the safety of the product.
Correct.
And so that's always the difference. A question about Australia and essential oil, or maybe this balm. I don't know if they have it. Do you have anything on that?
Honestly, I don't know like the status of every product in every country. You saw the pipeline. It's just so big.
Yeah, too hard, too complicated.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the front end where I'm just pushing stuff through, but I don't know what the launch schedules are or how it actually rolls out.
Can you just address, we're a world right now that's aiming towards organic, and I know that, just where are we on which ingredients need to be organic, et cetera?
Well, if it's possible to source organic ingredients, that's what we do. But there are some ingredients that, we source organic almost all the time. But if it's, there are certain situations where there are certain herbals where the supply chain they're safe. We test everything for pesticide. Like that's part of the screening process of an ingredient. When we're qualifying a new vendor, we'll test and make sure that there's no pesticide residues, there's no heavy metals, there's no anything that's harmful, but it still may not be like certified organic just because that kind of processes is so far behind what the supply chain is right now. I'm praying the world catches up to that, because probably a lot of the stuff that we use, we could label it as organic, but it just doesn't come with a C of A. But we do check every single thing, both coming into our factory and then going out of the factory, to make sure that there's no heavy metals, there's no pesticide residues, things like that.
Thank you. Is the intelligence complex, the nutrient complex, the same exactly in the cell essentials as in the prenatals?
Can you throw me an easy question?
I'll give you the other one. Are all
I'm going to seem really ignorant, but there's so many details. I've got 100 scientists that work for me, and they look at those details. I'm more looking at the strategy, and so honestly, I couldn't tell you, and it depends on the country too, because different countries may have different versions of prenatal so it's like a matrix. I don't have it memorized.
No, and
it's like the comp plan.
You're not actually making all these products yourself. Like you are not the one single scientist that's creating all of this.
That's proof of it. That's proof of it right there. I don't.
Right there. Yeah. That's what the chief officer does. You might know this might be a little bit more easy. Are all products NSF certified? I believe they're not. I believe there's just a selection of the NSF sport anyway. But are they all NSF?
Okay, so there, I would say, I believe most of our products are NSF certified. Okay. If they don't, it's not that they couldn't be, it's just an economic issue. It costs a lot for NSF certification. So our flagship products, the best-selling products and things like that, we go ahead and push them through NSF certification. But when we have products that are just, they're favorites of certain people, but they're not widespread sales success, we keep those products around, but it would just, if we added NSF certification to it, it would raise the price of those products just too high. And so, everything basically goes through the same processes at USANA. Anything could be NSF certified, but it costs a lot to get NSF certification. And then, like you said, for the athletes, The stuff that we make sure that the athletes get is definitely NSF certified for sports. I really believe that we could take anything off the shelf, off the warehouse at USANA, and run it through that same testing and get it. But you're talking $50,000 a test, and that has to be paid for some way, and we just don't want to pass that all on to the consumer if we don't have to do that.
Right. Well, I've looked at the questions, audience, and I think that I would rather just leave the questions where we are, because I feel like we've taken so much of Dr. Rob's time, and his expertise is so much on the leading of the whole team. I love what you do at convention with Future Labs. That's brilliant, because you're pulling in each of your team leaders in each scientific arena. Maybe the last question I'll ask is, I know that one of the things that's really important to you and important to your team is that we are aiming to be the world leader in microbiome. Do you want to maybe end with a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So that's not a secret. I mean, that's just something that I feel very strongly about it. Dr. Wentz feels very strongly about it. Scientists that are really in the know really believe that there's a lot of secrets in our microbiome, and a lot of both chronic, long-term issues, early childhood issues that we see in life. A lot of that traces back to the microbiome. And so right now we're working on, we have this fantastic probiotic product, fantastic. Everybody should be taking that every day. But we're also looking at some targeted probiotics, things for women's health, things for infant health. From the day one that my children were born, I was giving them probiotics. So it's like the very first day. And I really believe it made a huge difference. And I see a lot of issues out there, particularly with young children, that I believe could be corrected early through the prudent use of probiotic products. And so this is a huge area of research for us, because I think it unlocks so much. That going back to the first slide, when you meet the needs of your customers, business will follow. And that is a genuine need right now. Is a lot of people's microbiomes are messed up by our environment, the preservatives in our food, the foods we're choosing to consume, things like that. We need to figure out ways of setting that right. And I think that will have a huge impact on human health.
Thank you. Last question. We are a very unusual business. We are a USANA family, and we mean it. We are just linked together around this world with this vision of health and of literally taking our own family's health and our generational health. And it has created a wonderful way for us to do business and work from home, all of that. What can we do for you, the head of R&D, the head of 100 team deep scientists? How can we be your best right arm?
Yeah, that's great. So you are. I mean, I can't do what I do without having you out there. We don't have a sales force within the company. It's you. It's the believers and the independent distributors that are out there, the leaders. We could produce the best science in the world and nobody would ever know about it if we didn't have people like you out there, sharing this with people. And so that's the best thing that you can do, is trust me to do my job. And you can trust me to do my job. I love what I do. I think I'm one of the best in the entire world at doing what I do. And I'll do what I do. I'll support this side of the business and you support the other side of the business. And it's going to be a fantastic marriage. It'll be just like we're going to do very well together. But without each of us doing our stuff, it wouldn't work very well.
So I want us to all of the USANA family and all the guests who say, I'm doing this with these guys. I want us to picture how much of 2020 we might have just gotten a little bit shut down or a little bit comfortable. How much in the last couple of years, how much might we sit in a fear zone or a comfort zone? And the scientists at USANA are not sitting there. They are sitting in a position of development and production and trusting us. He asked us to trust him. And he's saying, we need to also be trusted. So I'm just saying, shout out to all of you. Let's